1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster
Movie.
fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honey Bee.
Fun time, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. I am your host, Precious D.
And I am your host, Honey Bee.
Honeybee and I are two best friends making our way through the history of kaiju movies. We started in 1933 with King Kong, and here we are back again with another version of King Kong from 2013, but also from 2018, which I will explain in a moment. We are looking at King Kong, the musical. That's right, folks, a stage production, musical of King Kong, with a life-size King Kong on the stage.
I'm just a Broadway baby, waiting to be in a show.
Honeybee,
Yes.
what are your initial thoughts?
Well, I have to say, Broadway was my very first dream. You know, I remember doing my first show when I was 9 years old, and I just realized right then and there, like, this is what I want to do. And then I remember seeing my first Broadway show in New York when I was 18, and just the magic of it. And I am such a huge lover of just the magic of the theater. So I feel very close to that just magic. So I was, I think, a little too excited for this show. Oh man, there's a lot going on, but what I will say is the sets are mostly amazing, and the puppeteering is fantastic. I absolutely loved those things about the show. And there are some other things that I loved about the show, but I think I just got my hopes a little too high that this was a Broadway show without thinking about the storyline and how it was going to adapt to the stage. So yeah, I think my hopes were high, and the sets and designs were amazing, are my initial thoughts.
Yeah. So, folks, we watched what's called a pro shot, where they basically film a stage production. And these can vary quite a lot. If anybody watched Hamilton on Disney Plus, that's the high end of a pro shot, where you've got multiple cameras and maybe you film a couple of different performances to make sure you got coverage and get the best, you know, and you have some editing options. And then on the other end, you just set up a camera at the back of the theater and plug it into the sound system and let it roll. You just do a wide shot of the whole stage and just let that camera run. And that's what we got with this Kong. So the video itself is not great, but I imagine that if you were actually in the theater seeing these things on the stage,
oh my gosh,
it must have been pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was probably amazing.
Yeah, it didn't look that awesome in the video we were watching, but I can, appreciate what was being done and how that would have looked on stage. So the stage is there's a giant video screen at the back of the stage. I'm not clear if it was just a projection screen, a rear projection thing, or if it was some huge LED thing. I think it was a huge LED thing, but I'm not certain. And then there was some physical pieces, and then there was Kong himself. But that screen at the back let them do a lot of stuff with depth and movement. And at one point, Kong is on the screen. When he first appears, he's sort of chasing them through the jungle in the dark, and he's on the screen. But then the puppet appears in 3 dimensions. But the screen itself looks pretty three-dimensional.
Yeah, the screen was great.
Yeah.
It was a great addition, I
Yeah.
think, especially for, like you said, to add the depth.
But the music itself, I felt, was kind of uninspired.
Yeah, yeah. There's very few times where the music is like, oh, this is okay. This is nice.
So the reason I said 2013 and 2018, the
yeah.
first version of this show was in Melbourne, Australia in 2013. And then they made some changes and brought it to Broadway in 2018. And that's what we watched, was the Broadway. And the video was called King Kong Alive on Broadway. But the actual title of the show is just King Kong, not King Kong exclamation point, not King Kong the musical. It's just called King Kong. Although on the poster here underneath it does say the eighth wonder of the world.
Sick.
But that's not technically not the full title of the show. Wikipedia has a synopsis for both versions. So, and I'm not going to read through the whole thing of the Melbourne one since we didn't watch that, but it looks like the songs there's some different songs. It looks like the plot is a little bit different. Looks like the Melbourne one is, maybe just quickly skimming through it, is maybe a little closer to the original. They use both the original film and the novelization of the film as their basis for the script. But I feel like the Broadway stuff added quite a bit and cut quite a bit. The basic story is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest difference really is in Anne's character, at least in the Broadway one. She is not just a weak, helpless damsel in distress who screams at the drop of a hat. They try to make her very much a strong, independent woman. And she is also actively trying to be an actress on Broadway, which maybe was influenced by the Peter Jackson version. Because in the original, she's not trying to be an actress. Denham just goes out looking for an actress and sees her and decides she's the prettiest of the desperate, homeless people in the middle of the Depression that I've found in the breadline.
Yeah.
So it does look like in the Melbourne one, they do have the apple stealing scene that is not in the Broadway one. And it is more him, hey, you'd be great in my film, rather than her actively trying to be an actress. Also, in the Broadway version, they have cast a black woman. And that... Nobody, it's, Broadway likes to do a lot of, and theater in general these days, a lot of blind casting where we just, and of course Hamilton, the entire show, apart from King George, is blind casting, where we're not concerned about, we're concerned about who's the best singer and the best actor, not about whether their race or ethnicity matches the source material. But also, I couldn't find it just now, but I remember reading an article a while back that implied that they may have kind of done it on purpose to try to counteract some of the racial coding of the original. Okay. Folks, if you care to go back and listen to our original episode, first episode of this show, we addressed the idea that maybe King Kong maybe represents something else, that there might be some coding. It's certainly a theory people have, a reading people have of the material. Whether or not that was anyone's intention is unclear. They certainly, Marion C. Cooper doesn't claim that he was trying to do that. But, it's kind of there that maybe King Kong represents black man, big scary black man taking our white women away. So by casting a black woman as Anne, that it gets sort of removed and it becomes a non-issue. But it also, I think, adds an element because Anne cannot get a job on Broadway. She's auditioning the hell out of things and cannot get hired. And so, although, again, nobody says it, by casting a black woman, there's an implication that she's just as good as everybody else, but she's just being tossed aside and ignored, not even being considered because she's black. So that's just an observation I had. Make that what you will.
Interesting. I did not think of it that way at all.
But
I did. I see what you mean, but I think, like, when I was watching it, I was just like, trying to make it as an actor fucking sucks.
Well,
you have to, like, do all these auditions, and there's certain parts too where the guy, like, she won't even take her picture or won't even give her the same chance. So it does make sense.
I mean, it's set in the 1930s, so that's certainly an element of society at the time.
Yeah, I will say this first song, The Queen of New York, wasn't really a big fan of it, but I was like, okay, like, get it, Anne. We're meeting her. It's her first, song. The set is so good. The backup dancer is amazing. Sometimes, not so much in this scene, a little bit in the scene. It's just like, what's going on with these backup dancers just doing crazy ass shit? Haven't you ever heard not to upstage?
I've got a rather long summary here from Wikipedia. We'll try to make our way through it. And throughout, in parentheses, it'll say what song is happening while this is going on. Anne Darrow, a girl from the countryside, comes to New York City to seek out her dreams of being on Broadway. Prologue, which is city going up is what I called it. Everybody's singing about the city being built. The Empire State Building is still being built during this scene or during the opening of this show. Because they're talking about, they say it's going to be 100 stories tall, so it hasn't been finished yet. But presumably that's where they are at the end of the film. She auditions for a show but does not make the cut. Dance My Way to the Light is the song they're auditioning to. Undaunted by the rejection, she tries to audition for a plethora of jobs. Queen of New York. So she's singing all about how she wants to be or is going to be the Queen of New York. After taking refuge in a diner to escape the cold New York streets, Anne meets a man named Carl Denham. Due to Denham's quick thinking, this Denham, I think, might even be worse than the original Denham. But due to his quick thinking, she is saved from being kicked out of the diner, and he reveals he's a director wanting a leading lady for a new movie, the details of which are kept secret, aside from the fact that the filming location is accessible only by boat. He promises Anne that if she takes the job, he'll make her a star. Anne agrees, and the two set off to the SS Wanderer, helmed by Captain Leviticus Engelhorn. Does anyone say his first name at any point?
I don't know. I don't remember that.
And his crew building the boat. So here already we have some differences. The movie starts with Anne. It doesn't start with Carl. It starts with Anne, and we're really focusing on her. We don't get that scene of her trying to steal the apple.
But she is doing something shady in the diner. Like, she can't pay for something in the
no,
diner
she's just, the guy's basically telling her, you got to order or get out. She's just trying to hang out in the diner. And she's like, I'm waiting for a friend. He's like, no, you're not. You're going to try to catch a nap in here like you did last week. You need to get out. And then Carl buys her a sandwich. So, but also for some reason they changed the name of the ship to the Wanderer. It was the Venture in the movie.
I will say the ship is one of my favorite sets.
Okay. So
it's so good.
They do this the song Building the Boat, in which they are kind of literally building the boat on the they're moving little set pieces around as Carl and Anne board the boat. They're stepping on different set pieces that the crew's moving into their way, and then they do a little I'm the king of the world thing at the prow. And then eventually they settle into the ship set. The set stops moving around, and we have the boat. Denham quickly gives introductions as Engelhorn comments on the fact that they're being trailed by another boat. Denham tries to ignore it. He tells an extremely wary Anne that the ship is loaded with gas bombs he built, which will only be used in case of an emergency. As the ship sets sail, Denham wonders about what may be on Skull Island. Setting Sail is the song. The next morning, Anne gets woken up when Denham's main cameraman, Lumpy, unexpectedly goes on board and tends to her. Anne thanks him for his kindness, and after he leaves, he wonders about the consequences of his job. Cabin soliloquy. I think that song was. I don't remember that. Does he sing a song?
I don't remember it either.
Well, often though these things will get cut. They'll do this all in pre-production and in the previews, and then they'll cut some things based on audience reaction. Back on the main deck, Engelhorn starts to distrust Denham. Pressure up.
The backup dancers are so funny in this moment. When he's like, where are we going to Skull Island? The backup dancers were cracking me up.
So another big difference is that Jack is not a love interest at all. He's barely in it. He does try to lead a mutiny. He's like, you got to give me some coordinates. I need my coordinates. And then once they realize where they're going, he immediately knows we're going to Skull Island. We don't want to go to Skull Island. Let's mutiny. But also the Lumpy, who it turns out his real name is Len. Mm-hmm. Lumpy is a character that was in the movie but cut. And he's in the novelization. And then he shows up in various adaptations since then. When people go back to the source material, they're like, who's this Lumpy guy? So he's in the Peter Jackson one. He's played by Andy Serkis, who of course also plays Kong. And he's a character in this version, but he's cut out of the original movie. After 2 months on the water. Go ahead.
Wait, we got to talk about when the mutiny is happening and and Anne's like, you ever heard it's bad luck to bring a dame aboard a ship? I'll take you all down if you don't let me make my movie. And they all think she has this weapon in her hand. And then later Carl's like, what is it? What do you have? And she's like, it's a curling iron. I love that.
They also do some test scenes. You know, they're filming Anne like in the movie, but she won't scream. He's trying to get her to scream, and she's just going, and she's like, I'm sorry, I'm not a damsel in distress. And this kind of pissed me off because I'm like, you're an actress.
Yeah, but you're an actor. Yeah, I had the same thought.
You're playing a damsel in distress. So just scream if you want, this is what you're being paid to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had that thought as well. I felt that way as well.
I found it very annoying. So after 2 months on the water, Denham explains to Anne about the filming location, Skull Island, and Engelhorn and his crew threaten Denham, demanding Denham to explain why they're going to Skull Island. Anne suddenly appears and threatens to blow up the ship. Well, they pull guns. Every one of them has a gun that they all pull on Denham. And I really liked he's like, wow, you guys did that all together? Like, did you practice? It looks like you practiced that. Did you practice that? So yeah, she appears and threatens to blow up the ship using the gas bombs if they don't let Denham go, earning Denham's awe. The Mutiny is the song. As Engelhorn and his crew return to work, Anne defends her actions, saying that Denham is her ticket to getting off the streets just as the ship arrives. As everyone disembarks to explore, Denham tries to take a few shots of Anne playing with some vines until a giant ape named Kong captures her. It seems like the vines somehow capture her. It's really weird.
Yeah, it is really weird. Yeah, because it seems like the vines capture her, and then we hear roaring, and then kind of I get some footsteps, so it seems like he's kind of far away, and then she gets tangled up in the vines, and then he runs to her.
Yeah. So
but,
in the
something I do appreciate about this, I don't know, is that we just don't have any natives.
Yes. Well, I don't know if I appreciate it or not. I was about to point this out. They pull a Disney Tarzan in this. It appears from my skimming earlier in the Melbourne production, there are natives. There's a high priestess, and they do the whole interrupting the ceremony and then kidnapping Anne stuff from other versions of this story. Yeah. But in this one, it just appears to be Kong's island. There are no humans living there. There is no sacrificing Anne, which the Kong just is like, oh, hey, look, a doll. I don't know.
Yeah. Ooh, a sparkly white dress.
Yeah. So that does... So yeah, it's a decision. The thing is, when you're just showing an old thing or reading an old book, okay, there's going to be old racist shit in there. But when you're making a new version, you are now responsible for whether or not there's going to be racist shit in there. So you got to decide how am I going to deal with this. And this is why I said they pulled a Disney's Tarzan, because in Disney's Tarzan they do this by just not having any Africans in Africa. We don't see any non-Europeans living in Africa at all in Disney's Tarzan. They just don't deal with it at all. And they do the same thing here. We're just not going to have any kind of islanders of any sort, whether they be African or Polynesian or whatever. There's just nobody there. There's just Kong and his giant snake. And that's it.
I will say when I saw the boat set, I was really excited to see how the natives were going to yank Anne from it.
Yeah.
So I was a little bummed about that specific part.
Right.
But other than that, I appreciated that there wasn't just a bunch of like actors running around stage screaming, and it was like, okay, cool, here we go. We're getting into the meat.
Another thing, by doing this, they make Kong a little more sympathetic, because there's this idea that humans have been sacrificed to Kong for possibly centuries is now not there. It's just he kind of stumbles across these humans who have encroached on his territory, rather than he regularly requires a human sacrifice to keep from destroying the village.
Yeah.
So, and so it didn't look really good on the video we were watching. It was all just too dark, but I think it probably looked much better in person. And this is where this is where Kong is sort of chasing them through the jungle on the screen, and then the puppet appears. But on the video we were watching, it just looked really hard. It was hard to tell what was going on. We could kind of make out his eyes. So anyway, Denham tries to film the beast, but Kong swipes at him, smashing the camera in the process, grabs Anne and carries her away. Skull Island is the song. Kong brings Anne to a high cliff overlooking the forest, the ascent. An enraged Denham tells the crew to leave the island and let Anne fend for herself. But upon hearing Lumpy's desire to see Kong, Denham decides to make Kong a tourist attraction. Okay, I think
oh my god,
was that changed?
Song...
I don't remember Denham saying "fuck Anne." I think that might have been changed from the version we saw.
Not in so many words, but this song that Carl has about I'm gonna put this wonder on stage, shake his cage. We're dealing with royalty. This king's gonna bring me the world. Oh my gosh! And he's like on. He's on like sparkly vines? Question mark. Like, is he in a tree? I'm not sure, but this song made me laugh. Yeah, this song is hilarious. This is very Carl Denham on Broadway, like, you know.
As they climb through the forest, he wonders about the opportunity and profit of capturing Kong. The World is the song that you're talking about there. Meanwhile, Anne wakes up to face Kong in his cave. At first, she is frightened by the beast, but after having a roaring contest with him, she builds the courage to see beyond his harsh exterior. Kong protects her when she is almost attacked by a giant snake. The Cobra fight.
Dude, the Kong puppet is incredible.
Yeah, though it is very much a slow motion fight.
His, yeah, for sure, definitely. But the way they match his his sniffing and his roars with the puppet is so good. Yeah. It really, I can just imagine that being there. It was just magic. That is just amazing.
There's 17 people, I think, controlling this puppet.
It is when they do the bows. 10 people came to bow, but the puppet is still moving, so I know there's still people in there.
Yeah, people up in the rafters or behind, still pulling on the ropes. So, this is the largest puppet ever built for a stage. I don't know what the record for world's largest puppet, outdoors is, but it's the largest one that was ever built for a stage show. So. And it is very impressive. So there's a fight with a cobra, which is also a giant puppet, but it has to move very slowly because they're giant puppets. And then the final fight is sort of it's in silhouette. we get some shadow puppet work going on. And as Anne patches his wounds, the two bond. Full Moon Lullaby is the song, which I think was meant to be the kind of big hit, but did not grab me.
Hilarious. Oh, it's so funny because he goes to sleep, like jumping around and all of this stuff, and then she just sings him right to sleep, and obviously because it's a giant puppet, he has to lay on his stomach, and so it's just kind of funny, and then he like snuggles her, and it's very cute, and then floop, she just escapes through a trapdoor. Yeah.
So I think they were meant to be like up a tree or on a cliff or something, and she was climbing down. Because when it happened, I was like, "What did she do? What just happened? Where did she go?
Where the fuck did she go?" Yeah.
But one of the clips you can see on YouTube is of Full Moon Lullaby, and this is also one of the songs that carried over from the other production because there's a video of a white lady singing it. I think she's from the Melbourne production. But I was not impressed by this song or any of the songs really. But I think it was meant to be the big hit that everyone would use for their auditions. When Kong falls asleep, Anne quickly runs off back into the jungle. Kong quickly realizes she's gone, prompting him to chase after her. The descent.
And the moon crashes into the stage, and then a club beat starts playing, and it's just a Kong rave.
Oof. Yeah, it was really weird. The moon on the screen behind starts getting bigger and bigger. I was like, oh no, the moon's gonna crash into
and
the
then
earth.
It just explodes.
Yeah, then it did.
Then it just explodes.
Anne bumps into Denim and Lumpy, the latter of whom is overjoyed to see her, and the former telling her that a queen would scream for Kong.
This is when she says, "You chose your camera over me." So I think this is like how we know that Carl said "fuck Anne" because he chose the camera over her or whatever.
Anne remorsefully complies, bringing Kong to where the rest of the ship's crew is waiting and causing Kong to get ambushed and knocked unconscious by the gas bombs. Kong's capture. And
this is probably my favorite Carl Denham line when she's like, I thought this was a rescue party. He's like, no, it's a war party. And Carl says, well, let's just agree that it's a party.
Yeah, that was good. I did like that. Okay, so there's an intermission. And then we have Entrance, the Voyager returns. But it's not the Voyager. It's maybe they just mean the people making the Voyager. The name of the song is The Voyager Returns, but that's not the name of the ship. It's the Wanderer.
Oh, wait. I think this is before intermission, but we do get a little line from Carl that says, he says, Anne Darrow, the beauty that tamed the beast.
He's also...
Which isn't the line,
No.
but it still feels like maybe important.
When we first meet her, he's calling her Anne Darrow, the Sparrow. He's trying to come up with promotional ideas when he first hears her name. Back in New York, Denham advertises for his show in which he intends to present a now captive Kong to audiences. It's Man is the song. I don't remember that being lyrics, and he is wearing an orange suit with a green overcoat, which it just really struck me. It was just very, I don't know, comic booky. I was just confused by his outfit. During rehearsal, The Wild and Perilous Sea. So the music in this show is very modern Broadway. But there are times when there is diegetic music that is supposed to be taking place within the show itself. When Anne auditions, and then this part where they're practicing the show they're going to put on, they're rehearsing a song. And those songs are very much 1930s style songs. And in fact, in the Melbourne production, they used some actual 1930s songs. They used I Want to Be Loved by You and Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? But in this one, they made up a couple of 1930s style songs. So, and those, I liked those songs the best. They were better than, show me that show. So
and something that really pissed me off here right before we get to the Wild and Perilous Sea thing is when Anne goes to visit Kong and is talking to him ooh, 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 and then is trying to convince him that he's a star and the world wants to see him. I'm like, fuck you, Anne. Okay, just what she does I was just like, why isn't she giving, like, connected to Kong, want to get him out of here? But I think she does eventually, like, turn to that. But this just scene at the beginning of the second act with her trying to convince him to perk up and everybody wants to see you, you're a star, just really pissed me off.
Oh, the thing I thought was really funny, though, is that, so they're rehearsing this show within a show, and we had this rather elaborate boat set for the actual show, but the show within the show, they just have this shitty little cutout of a boat, of the front of a boat, that they just stand behind in their little sailor suits. They're very Broadway sailor suits, not, realistic sailor suits. And I thought that was pretty funny. A guilt-ridden Anne abandons the rehearsal and Denham chases after her, finding her outside the theater. She explains that she can't put on a show like this due to her friendship with Kong, but Denham threatens her with being deemed as insane and jobless. So, yeah, she's like, he's an animal, he's a living thing, we should return him to his island, he's not eating, this is wrong, and he's like, you will never work in this town again. If you fuck me over, I will make sure that you never work in this town again. And this is where I thought that this guy's a bigger asshole than the original version of Denham. And in Son of Kong, we see that Denham actually does have regret and guilt over everything that happened. But this Denham, he's like, yeah, he's an animal. So what? Fuck him. Animals are for exploiting. Don't you know that? You're from a farm. You should know.
Oh my God.
So, Anne, horrified at Denham's behavior, decides to visit a captive Kong. She explains that she never meant for any of the past events to happen and tries to comfort him. And
this is the Anne I was waiting for earlier. I was like, yeah, okay, here we go. Here she is.
Yeah. But she's at first Kong doesn't respond to her, but after she notices that he's effectively dying, aggressively commenting on that fact, the two rekindle their friendship. She's also equating Kong's situation with her own situation, that they're both sort of trapped and they're not free. The show is trying to somehow equate Kong's captivity with the oppression of women, but I'm not sure it really succeeds. But that's, or at least Anne's personal oppression or what have you. But on the opening night, Anne is still unsure about Denham's show, Last of Our Kind reprise, before going on stage and starting the performance. When it comes time for her to scream for Kong, she notices his declining health. Despite Denham's repeated demands for her to scream and wake Kong up, she defiantly refuses. Scream for the Money is the song. Oh, so you were very confused by what was going on.
Oh, yeah, I was very confused.
She starts the song, but then the song changes, and basically we go into her mind. So but it's one song that just sort of transforms as it's happening. So we're no longer seeing what she's actually performing for the audience. We see what her thought process is as she's performing, which is, this is shitty, I don't want to do this. And I've sold out. It's kind of like, oh no, I've sold my soul song. What did I do? She shouts for Kong to fight back. So the rampage and hundreds of deaths that are about to happen are kind of Anne's fault. Because she actively encourages Kong to break from his chains and to fight back. But in this version, we don't actually see him doing a whole lot of destruction. He certainly doesn't pick up anybody and bite their head off like he does in the movie. or derail any trains or anything like that. So she shouts for Kong to fight back and is quickly grabbed and dragged off stage, where she lets out a true scream. In response, Kong swiftly breaks free from the shackles as the curtain falls. This part was hilarious. Denham unsuccessfully tries to keep the audience and remaining actors on stage calm. And we have a reprise of Dance My Way to the Light, while Kong roars from behind the curtain. So Denham keeps saying, everything's under control, everybody. Everything's fine. No problems at all.
Nobody panic.
Even though you just all saw him break free of his chains. No problem. In the meantime, while we, clear up this technical difficulty, girls come out here and perform a number. And these girls, they come on stage and they're like, oh, okay.
He says, it's a little moosh boosh to keep your mouth
moosh,
watering.
Yes. And as they start dancing, one of the girls gets grabbed from underneath the curtain and dragged behind it, where presumably Kong
so
eats
funny.
her. We don't know what happened to her, but in my mind, Kong bit her in half.
My favorite part of this whole show was your reaction to that part. It was so good.
The other girls try to keep going, but one by one they run off until there's just one girl left trying to keep it going. She was a trooper. I don't think she quit until the lights went out.
Did we talk about the guy who's playing Carl Denham in the show?
No, what about?
He's like, well, he's just like this like hunky hero trying to play this like hunky hero, and Carl, the real Carl Denham is like,
yes,
yeah. The real Carl Denham is like giving notes, and he's like, and you do this, Carl, work on everything.
yeah. Carl does not like the guy that's playing him. He's he does a lot of posing, that sort of one knee up, fists on the hips pose. In profile, I'm a hero. And yeah, Carl's just like, oh, this guy sucks. I thought you meant the actor that was actually playing Carl, the fake Carl. He calls him fake Carl.
No.
At one time he says, fake Carl, come here. I didn't give the cast at the beginning. We'll go back and do that at the end. Kong rampages through. Oh, but before the show started, though, there's a conversation between Lumpy and Anne where she tells him his real name. He tells her that she reminds him of his daughter. Mm-hmm. Not so much in the way she looks, but just the way she is. There's just something about you. And they have a real connection. And
she died when she was 14 years old of like smallpox or something.
Yeah, smallpox. His daughter's dead. Why, I'm not sure. I don't know. Just to give us some background on Lumpy. I think somebody just likes the character of Lumpy. So,
and I think it's like this part that he kind of, because he's like, kick him in the balls, kick him where it hurts, and he's like been working for Carl for all this time, and I think it's just so that he can like go up to Carl at the end of the show and say, fuck you, Carl Denham.
Yeah,
I am my own man, and I'm tired of this shit, Grandpa.
Yeah, there's a part where Lumpy comes in to tell Carl, we've been working together, after Kong escapes. We've been working together for a long time, Carl, but this is it. I'm not working for you anymore. He's like, you'll be back tomorrow. Lumpy's like, nope, I'm done. Bye. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. Getting out before the lawsuits start. Kong rampages through the city in an attempt to find Anne, Broadway nightmare. The two finally find each other, and Kong with Anne climbing on his back.
This song is so funky, and I don't really understand it because, like, some of the words were like, what you gonna do when you can't pay the rent? And I was like, what the fuck is this song? Why is there some funky ass song playing? Well, like, there's like shooting at Kong, and he's like rampaging through the city, and he's like sniffing around and roaring, and the song's just like, what you gonna do when you can't pay the rent? Like, what the fuck is happening right
I guess Kong is somehow the embodiment of the frustration of the poor people during the Depression. I don't know. But so here's another big difference from the original. Anne, rather than Kong just picking up Anne and climbing up the building, she gets on Kong's back and like, let's go, buddy. So they take off running as the army shoots at him. NYC chase. Kong stops at the bottom of the half-completed Empire State Building and immediately starts climbing it. In the original movie, that building looks finished to me. I don't know what year they're setting it in, but, when the movie was made, the building appeared to be finished.
In any case, the puppet looks great climbing the building.
Yeah. Back at the ruined theater, Lumpy enters to tell Denham that he's quitting, explaining that what they did wasn't right and that it isn't about the money, leaving Denham alone. And we get a reprise.
In the name of Maggie.
What? Was that his
Said in
daughter?
the name of Maggie.
That was
yeah,
his daughter.
yeah.
Yeah. On top of the Empire State Building, Anne marvels over the view from there, but then notices that Kong is slowly dying and tries to reassure Kong just as army planes arrive to shoot him down. Air War is the song.
I don't know that she does a good job of trying to, because she's like, I don't know, I can't get you back. Everything is shit. I'm so sorry I did this to you.
Yeah. Kong destroys some planes, but sustains injuries from the bullets to his body before another set of planes swoops by and finishes him off, causing him to fall to the ground. Empire soliloquy.
No, but this is really a cool moment because it's like the music is perfect for this thing. They do this like slow motion, like Kong like roar and like beating his chest in slow motion, and then they do like the gun thing. The gun thing is so cool. Like when they're all like shooting at Kong, how she doesn't get hit is very silly, but it looks great.
I assumed all of that was effects from the screen behind them, but there might have been other shit going on too. We just see a lot of lines of light showing us like they're tracer bullets.
Oh, and she starts doing this like cry singing thing, which I'm not gonna lie, Lin-Manuel Miranda kind of ruined this for me with his like Eliza. I really just like hate the like cry singing, but she does find herself a little bit better than he does, and finally starts actually singing, and it is really good. But I was like, oh no, not the cry singing.
Anne grieves over the loss of Kong as she manages to make her way down from the Empire State Building. As she reaches the streets, she tries to spread the word on how Kong wasn't a monster or an attraction to be displayed, but a wonder. I wasn't really feeling it.
It's really weird. Me either. Like, and the way that it ends is just so abrupt.
Yeah, but she was trying to like...
And what are the backup dancers doing?
Yeah. I don't know what they were doing. But she's saying something to the effect of... how he was, you don't know how he was or what he was so wonderful or whatever. And I'm like, I don't feel like I really saw that or I saw you see that. I just feel like you spent about 10 minutes with him and then he got captured and then you spent another 10 minutes with him just now and saw him got shot down. But we didn't really, apart from him fighting a snake, we didn't really see this, he was the most amazing. I mean, he's a wonder because he's just fucking huge, but... I don't know.
I thought it was nice that she ends where she started, like in the street of like when she's like, I'm going to be the queen of New York. And then she's like kind of turns into like this quote unquote queen of New York in a way. And it's like not what she wanted. And she's like singing to Kong at the end, like, you taught me how to be free. And I was like, okay, cute. Like I like the idea of it, but I just don't think it was like, there wasn't really enough time.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like most of this show was about Kong, which was amazing, was absolutely incredible, and I can't imagine seeing it in person. I bet it was fucking incredible. But yeah, I just didn't think it was so great, which I feel bad about.
Yeah. So on Wikipedia here, they're showing us 4 casts. The Melbourne cast, there was a reading in 2016, a workshop in 2017, and then the Broadway production in 2018. And we can see here some characters coming and going. Like there's no Lumpy in the Melbourne version. Jack Driscoll is listed in Melbourne and the reading, but then there's no listing for him in the workshop and Broadway. But Jack was there, he just didn't have much of a part. So maybe that's why they don't bother listing who played him. So I'm just going to say who was in the Broadway production that we watched. Ann Darrow was Christiane Pitts. Carl Denham was Eric William Morris. Lumpy was Eric Lochtfeld. The bartender was Harley J. Captain Eigelhorn was Rory Donovan. And the voice of Kong was John Hoche or Hoch. Hoche. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. And then there was, of course, a whole bunch of people in the chorus. Dancers and singers in the chorus. Oh, there was that one guy when they were doing that
in the audience.
No, oh yeah. Well, I was going to mention him too. Twice. So because the camera appeared to be plugged directly into the sound system, we couldn't hear the audience very well. They had to get very loud for us to hear them get picked up through like the actors' microphones. So at first I thought we were just watching a rehearsal because I couldn't hear any applause at what was clearly meant to be the first applause break. But there was a couple of times, twice, when we heard just one guy yell out, "Yeah!" He was very excited about Kong a couple of times. No, I was going to say when they were doing the test filming on the boat and Denham is prompting them what to do, and he's telling one of the guys, "You're in love with Anne. I want you to tell her you love her and ask her to marry you." And the first guy's just like doesn't know what to do. He's like, "No, I'm too embarrassed. I can't do it." And so he's like, "Somebody else." And this other guy steps up, and I just thought he was very fun. And he's got a handkerchief, and he's waving it around, and he's like, "Well, Miss Anne, you are the most beautiful woman, and would you do me the honor?" And he's just supposed to be one of the sailors on the ship, and I just thought he was really funny. And just the idea of him.
Hell yeah.
That this sailor was like, "Here's my chance. I'm gonna show the rest of the crew how this is done." So I liked that moment. So what did we think? I thought Christiane Pitts did a good job with what she was given.
Yeah.
I think she sang well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Obviously a very different sort of Ann Darrow from Fay Wray, but she was good, and I felt bad that this show was not more of a hit.
I know. I just feel like it's just missing so much meat.
Yeah.
You know?
Nobody was bad, but they were all, it was Broadway. It was very Broadway performances. I thought Carl was a little presentational. Mm-hmm. I did like Eric Lochtfeld as Lumpy. I enjoyed him. Mm-hmm. Everybody was very competent and talented. I just think the songs. I think it comes down to the songs. The songs just weren't good enough.
Yeah, at one point you literally said, "Ugh, I feel like we're watching that animated musical Kong."
Yeah.
And that is not a good note.
No. Well, it reminded in the beginning of that version, they do there's a chorus number. There's an actual stage number within the show about Carl Denham and his amazing nature show that he's putting on. And there was a point that it reminded me of that number. When we get some chorus girls happening, it was reminding me of that. So I just don't feel like if I had seen this on Broadway, I would have felt the need to buy the CD on my way out. Mm-hmm. The songs just aren't that memorable. The City Going Up song's a little bit of an earworm, but not in a good way. Kind of gets stuck in your head. I couldn't remember any of the lyrics to the Full Moon Lullaby, which is also one of those songs that could be an Annie musical. There was nothing in it that was specific to this story, so you could just pluck it and put it in another show if you wanted to. Could totally reuse that song, but it wasn't. But it's not worth reusing. It wasn't that good. So
yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah. So Honeybee, what are you gonna rate King Kong Alive on Broadway?
Man, I don't know. I feel really bad about just like I feel really guilty just like giving it a 3, but I kind of feel like maybe it was a 3.
Yeah.
I feel like the sets and the puppeteering go to like a 4 and a 5 for me,
Yeah.
but as far as like the whole thing as a whole, and mostly because of the music, I just kind of feel like it's okay.
Yeah, technically it's very impressive. I give the
it's
the puppeteers and the
Yes.
set designer and the costumes, all the technical stuff all gets a 5, but
for sure,
music,
1,000%.
the music is like a 1. Well,
Yeah,
a 2.
It's a Broadway musical.
The 2 period songs I'll give those a 4, but the rest of the the wild and dangerous sea, wild and
I
windy
would
sea,
still
whatever
probably
it was called.
only
Perilous.
perilous sea. I
Wild
would
and
still
Perilous
probably
Sea.
give him a 3. Honestly, I don't know. I feel really upset about it, but I think it's a 3.
Average, yes. So averaging all those elements out, I think I also have to give it a 3.
Damn.
But I wish I could have seen it on stage though. That would have been
Same.
quite a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's see, awards and nominations. Best New Australian Work. It got some nominations. Best Female Actor in a Musical. This is in Melbourne. Best Male Actor in a Supporting Role. Let's see, Broadway. Outer Critics Circle Awards. It got Outstanding Projection Design, Player Musical. It was nominated for Lighting Design, and it got Outstanding Sound Design. Drama League Awards, it was nominated for Outstanding Production of a Broadway or Off-Broadway Musical. Drama Desk Award won Outstanding Puppet Design, sure, and Outstanding Projection Design. And the Tonys, it was nominated for Best Scenic Design of a Musical and Best Lighting Design of a Musical and Best Sound Design of a Musical. It didn't win any of those, but it won a Special Tony Award. It doesn't say what, but it's Sonny Tilders and Creature Technology Company, so I'm guessing they just gave it some kind of special award for that puppet. It is a non-competitive honorary award, so I guess they just... The Tonys has a Lifetime Achievement Award and a Special Tony Award, so I think somebody at the Tonys just said, we don't have a puppet category, but damn, we got to...
Yeah.
We got to give them a special award for that thing. That was something else. So there you go. The official website is still up for this thing. If you want to go poke around that, folks. KingKongBroadway.com. So there we go. That's King Kong, the musical. Good luck watching
musical.
it. I would definitely recommend you go on YouTube and watch what clips you can just to see what this puppet was like.
Yeah, for sure.
The soundtrack is not on Spotify. I don't know how some of the songs are on YouTube, but I don't know how many. So you can't really listen to the whole thing, I don't think. But you wouldn't want to. That's gonna, I think, wrap it up for us, folks. Thanks for joining us. What is on the list? Sorry, let me get my list here. What do we got next week? Pacific Rim is next week.
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's see where it's streaming. It's on Hulu and Disney Plus. And then you can rent or buy it at all the regular places. So, Pacific Rim. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I keep meaning to say this at the beginning of the show, and I keep forgetting to tell people to like and subscribe and rate and review. A lot of shows say that stuff at the beginning of the show. But I guess if you didn't listen to the end of the show, you weren't going to do that anyway. So, anyway, that's going to do it. Until next time, I'm Precious D.
And I'm Honey Bee.
Remember to keep calm and take shelter in basements.
And please, don't misuse science.
We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go, live on Broadway. You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing us on your podcasting platform of choice. You can leave us a message and find links to all our things at mmftg.com.